it seemed like the right thing to do. So thank you for being willing to share your opinions, guys. And we're going to jump in for today. I'm going to skip our current event. For those of you who are attending remotely today, I'm going to save this video for Friday. But we left off talking about how to start a business. I know we got a lot of people in this room who are interested in being entrepreneurs, people who are interested in having their own businesses. What I'm presenting to you is not a foolproof method, but it is a list of basic steps how you would go about starting a business. Well, you got to have an idea. You got to know how you're going to set up your business. We know that we can have several types of ways we can set up our business. Who here can tell me on this side of the room one way we can set up our business? There's three main ways. What's one way? Yes, sir. We could be a sole proprietorship. We're going to go back here to Zoom land. So we know we can have a sole proprietorship. What else do we have? I read your lips and you said partnership, right? All right, partnership. What do we got over here? What's the third type, guys? Begins with a C? Corporation. Absolutely right. So what's going to be right for us? And then we got to get into developing a business plan. We're going to be talking about that. And that means, do you have a plan for how you're going to make money? How you're going to make this a solvent organization? Then you got to find financing for this stuff. You've got to pull in people who are willing to invest or find the money somehow. Or you could take a circuitous path, I like that word, and you can just buy an established business. That comes with its own challenges as well. So let's talk about this, guys. Sometimes we get great ideas working at our day job. In fact, a lot of people who work for one company start another. You guys know, for example, there are several companies that are making self-driving cars. Can anybody name one of them? Tesla is making one, but you know who else is making one? Google. Some of the people who work for Google used to work for Tesla. So people go off and they start other companies, for example. We have an idea for a product or service. Maybe we get it from working at our day job. For example, if you work in the tech industry, if you work for a company like Apple, you might have an idea for your own business so you can get an idea for another job, another company. So you can either spin off and start your own company, or you could modify an existing approach enough so that it's different or it's least competitive. Some of the people who work for Lyft, for example, started off working for Uber. This stuff gets very kind of interlaced. Here's another idea too, guys. When you work at a company, for example, I've been working at St. Francis forever and a day. I've got a lot of friends here. If I had an idea for a company, there's some chance that some of those folks might want to come with me. They might want to invest in my company. So that can be a source of people who would work for you, who would invest in your company, and might even give you ideas. Does anybody know, for example, where Google came from? Google came from Stanford University. The two guys who founded Google were working as researchers at Stanford and said, this idea is so freaking good, we have to spin it off and do it ourselves. And so they ended up getting out of Stanford. They probably got some seed capital from Stanford as well. So it's a great idea to look at these factors when you're thinking about starting your own business. Why are you doing it in the first place? Is your idea that good, or have people told you, wow, this is a great idea? Do you have the right personality to do this? For example, are you independent? Do you have sources of people who can invest? And is there room for you in the market? So what it really comes down to is there a way to make money doing what you want to do? For example, guys, my dream business, if I weren't working for a living teaching, I would love to own a high-end bass guitar shop. I love bass guitars. It's what I live for when I'm not here. There aren't that many bass players in the world, guys. I have friends who tried to start high-end bass guitar shops and they went out of business because there simply wasn't enough business to keep them going. That never works out. Is there anybody in here who loves pizza? I mean, really loves pizza. I could eat pizza literally every day. Pizza shops succeed pretty easily because there's a never-ending demand for pizza. And the truth be told, at 3 a.m., there's no such thing as bad pizza. There's just pizza. So there's always room for a pizza shop. There are some businesses that are easier to find a position for than others. So you got to think about that stuff. In terms of people who started companies, I'm not going to read these two other than to say we have a lot of folks who are young and start very successful businesses, whether it's something as simple as a dog walking service, for example, or somebody starting something like a business analytics company. These are people who aren't much older than you guys, and they got experience working in companies and took it and ran with it themselves because they didn't want to work for other people. So I'm going to skip through these very, very quickly, other than to say every entrepreneur in the list in our book is under the age of 30. Then you got to think about, well, since I'm starting this business, how do I want to do it? What do most businesses in the United States, if we just say most small businesses, what do they start as? Which one would you guess? Partnership is a good guess. It's usually a sole proprietorship. They usually start as a sole, sometimes grow into a proprietorship, a partnership, sometimes grow into a corporation. It depends on the scale you're operating. It depends on how big you immediately want to be. But most companies start off as a sole proprietorship. You can always change that later. You can always change your path. Then you've got to develop a business plan. And that means, what is your business model? How do you make money? Well, somebody tell me, for example, how does Chick-fil-A make money? What is their business model? They make chicken, and when we buy a chicken sandwich, by the way, what's your favorite chicken sandwich at Chick-fil-A? What do you get when you go there? Okay, I always get the spicy. I like the super spicy. But what does a combo meal at Chick-fil-A cost? You're getting into like $9, $10. They call that, by the way, fast casual dining. Your generation is driving that. You guys don't want $1 hamburgers. Nick, you have your hand up, man. Oh, sorry, man. So we call that fast casual. We call it fast casual dining. Chick-fil-A probably, between the labor and supplies, put maybe $5 or $6 into that $10 meal. So they're selling something at a profit. You're taking a product, you're combining raw ingredients, you're making a product and you're selling it at a profit. That is the most traditional business model there is. How does Google make money? Advertisement, selling your information. Same way that Facebook makes money. So if we get into the new economy, the 21st century economy, it's not always making money by selling products. Some people sell services, for example. Yes, sir. They do. They've got multiple revenue models. So, for example, the point Mr. Parker made was Google also makes a phone. So, yeah, they are selling products. And get this, guys, some companies sell it all. What's Amazon's business model? What is Amazon so famous for? Yes, Nick, what's Amazon's business model? I'm sorry? One-click purchase, and that's their patent. Their business model, though, comes down to the idea that they are selling products and services at a profit. That's their big one. But their new and emerging one is selling services, too. For example, if you host a website, for example, you can have a website. By the way, you guys back here, I think the microphone may be a little off. I want to change the microphone, make sure you guys can hear me a little bit better. Are you guys able to hear me from the front of the room okay? I'll take that as a yes. Okay. So guys, in terms of Amazon, they're selling services, they have multiple business models. Most small businesses, when they start, usually have one. Amazon is diversified. Apple is diversified. Apple sells products, but what else does Apple sell you? What can you also buy from Apple? You buy software, for sure. What else? You buy accessories, and you can buy drive space for your iPhone if you want to back it up online. So they're selling services too. So you can have multiple business plans. You can have multiple business models, which become a business plan. So if you're creating a business and you want to have a business plan, by the way, what I'm about to present to you is a really, really dumbed down version of this. This is complicated and it takes time, but we're going to talk about how this goes together. If you have an idea for a business, your business model, write this down, guys. Your business model is how you make money. Your business plan is everything that goes into making money being put into one place. That's a differentiation. So a business model is how you make money. A business plan is putting it all down together. So what is part of your business plan? Who here has ever heard of something called an elevator speech? What is an elevator pitch? Anybody know? I'm about to tell you. All right, guys, let's see. Who's going to be my first victim here? Who is going to be my first? There. You ever take the elevator in Schwab Hall? Good man. Good man. Get your cardio in. Who here has ever ridden in the elevator in Schwab Hall? Eric, when you ride the elevator, what floor do you usually get on? second floor, and you're going up or down. How long does it take you to get to the third floor? This is slow, right? What would you estimate? 40 seconds. This is very slow. That's a long elevator pitch. Here's what an elevator pitch is. Erica has gotten into the elevator with Dr. Fry. She has an idea for a project she wants to pitch him. He's got her in the elevator at the same time. She has a captive audience with Dr. Fry, which means she's got 40 seconds. Why did my voice crack? I think things are happening here. 40 seconds you have to be able to talk to Dr. Fry, but you've got that 40 seconds to be able to pitch your idea. And so what that means is you have an elevator speech, which also translates to your executive summary. You should be able, with your business, to tell somebody in between 15 and 40 seconds what your company is about and why they should be interested. Does that make sense, guys? That's your executive summary. Then you got your vision and your mission statement. What that is basically a quick statement of why you exist, what your ideals are. For example, if you look up Google's mission statement, their mission statement goes something like, to provide all the world's information to everybody. Your company overview means, what is your company made of? Are you guys a proprietorship, a sole proprietorship, or a partnership? Your product or service, you're basically explaining how that works. We're Amazon. We sell products at a profit. We have a large catalog. If we get into our marketing plan, how are you getting the word out? Of course, these days, if you're not using analytics, it doesn't make much sense. We're going digital these days. Your management plan. Guys, we have two types of organizations if we have a corporation. We've got horizontal or flat organizations, or we've got vertical or hierarchical organizations. Has anybody ever heard those terms before? All that means is how many layers of management do you have to go through to get to the top. Then your operating plan. How are you going to set up your factory? How are you going to set up your building? How are you going to set up your system? Then you got your financial plan. How are you using the money? And finally, you have an appendix that has all your supporting documents, your cash flow statements, your prospectus, if you are doing public stock, for example. All of these things go into your business plan. Get this stuff, guys. There is a place on campus where if you have an idea for a small business, they'll help you create this. Does anybody know where it is? It's called the Small Business Development Center. Yes, you knew that, didn't you? I wish I'd seen your hand. Why is the SBDC so great? It's okay. Free consultation, right? Free's good. And your tax dollars paid for it. The Small Business Administration, the SBA, funds small business development centers, SBDCs, to be able to help you guys be able to build your own businesses. So if you wanted to start a business tomorrow, chances are a lot of people would be hitting up their friends and family to say, hey, can I have a couple of bucks? Jeff Bezos borrowed money from his own family to start Amazon. That's a very common thing to do. You can go through traditional financing too, which means I'm going to the bank and asking for a loan. Are interest rates high or low right now, by the way? Anybody know? They are low. We're trying to get more people borrowing, for example. By the way, it's a good time to open accounts. If you're opening a bank account right now, banks will do anything to get your business. Even when young folks, you might get a couple $100. I got an email from Chase yesterday. If I'm willing to open a bank account, they're willing to give me $600. Literally, they're giving away money to get you into their system. It's a great thing to do. Equity. When we say equity, what are we talking about, guys? We're not talking about bonds. What are we talking about? Not bonds. They are stocks. Absolutely. Or they could be venture capitalists who want to get involved with this as well, which is technically still equity financing. And then we can get into angel investors. Guys, when you think of the angel, you think of somebody putting their hands together in prayer. It's funny because I have that projector hit me right in the eye, and I know it's putting a twinkle in my eye right now, and you can see the halo above my head. That's an angel investor. Why do we call them angel investors? Because they want to give you money because they believe in your product, and they're not asking for a stake in your company. They're just asking to be paid back. What do venture capitalists want, guys? What do they want? Oh my goodness, what do they want? They want money in return, and more so, what else do they want, guys? They want part of your business. They want a percentage. They want a stake. They want a piece.
Basically Shark Tank people.
That's exactly Shark Tank people. Great observation. Guys, let's talk about one other thing, and that is crowdfunding. That is a very 21st century way of raising funds. Who here knows what crowdfunding is? What is it, guys? Does anybody know? Have you contributed to a crowdfunding campaign? Raise your hand if you ever heard of Kickstarter or GoFundMe. Guys, basically what this is a new way to be able to ask people to invest in your product. Let's say, for example, I don't know if any of you guys remember this movie at all. I don't know if you remember the TV show because it's a little before your time. There was a TV show called Veronica Mars, and it was like a mystery of the week kind of show. It was on in the early 2000s, and people who were kids of the 90s loved this show. The show wasn't that great. It got canceled, went off the air. And so when it went off the air, a lot of these folks were like, man, this sucks. We weren't able to see how the story ended. Kristen Bell, the comedian who's on, I think, The Good Place now, she came back and they did a crowdfunding campaign, meaning people who wanted to see the movie get finished could contribute $10 or $20, whatever. They raised over $1 million to make another movie to continue the story because people cared about it that much. The band I play in, who here has Mr. Donovan for class? Did he ever tell you about his crowdfunding campaign? What we did for the last record, people pre-ordered the record. They actually bought live performances. We raised $30,000 in a month and a half to be able to promote a record and get people to put money into the system. We didn't do it for nothing. They got CDs, they got signed records, they got all these things, but we got the money in advance. So crowdfunding is a way that you guys are able to tell companies what you want and have them make it. Have any of you ever contributed to a crowdfunding campaign? People use it sometimes for charity, but it's a new way of building equity. I'm really excited about crowdfunding because I think it's a great idea. If you get into, I'm not going to read this to you guys, you need to know your business model inside and out. If, for example, somebody wanted to start a company, you should be able to answer very quickly how much your costs are. How much will it save you if you get bigger? If we get bigger, for example, why does it become less expensive to make a product? Anybody know? Why is it? We get bigger. I'm going to have to start just calling on people this morning. I want some volunteers. Guys, man. Exactly right. The unit price goes down, we get a larger quantity. That's absolutely correct. Anybody know why? Why is that, guys? What do you think? Well, you're more likely to get profit because if you're buying in bulk, what happens when you buy in bulk? You get a better price. Like, for example, tell me, because I remember you had an idea for a business. What's something you'd like to sell? Let's say cars. If I'm going to buy one car from you, you got to make a lot of profit off it. If I buy 10 cars off you, will you give me a better price per car? Absolutely right. We're dealing in volume. I can negotiate a better deal. By the way, we're going to talk about cars in the next class, guys. And we're going to talk about cars here as well. Guys, in terms of buying a business, that is an alternative path to forego all these steps and get right into business for yourself. It's a great thing, especially if the business is successful. For example, it can be very low risk if you do a good job. For example, people recently, it was about 2 years ago, Smith Meyer's store in town changed ownership. And that's a pretty sure thing if you keep running the business well because it's the only game in town. It's a great model. But some are also high risk, guys. And here's why I put the line about used cars. Generally speaking, if somebody has a used car, they could be selling it for several reasons. One could be they just need the cash. One could be they want a new car. Is there another reason people sell used cars? Why do people sometimes sell used cars, guys? They want a new car, but is there another reason? Have you ever heard the expression, it's time to dump this thing? Yeah, the car's breaking down. It's becoming a maintenance problem. Sometimes people sell businesses because they see the writing on the wall, meaning there's no future in this business. Let's get rid of it while it still has some worth. For example, think about things these days, guys. I'll give you a couple potentials. Let's say, for example, I decided I was retiring and I had a Chick-fil-A franchise and you had the ability to buy it. How many of you would buy that franchise? Yeah, that's a hot franchise, isn't it? All right, let's think of another one. Let's say I was selling, let's say I owned an Apple store and I decided I wanted to retire. I'm getting out of the business. I had an Apple store. How many of you would think that was a good investment? Great. How about if I have a DVD rental store? How many of you guys want to buy that? There's a reason why all the DVD rental stores are turning into CBD sales and Dollar Generals, because there's no future in DVDs. So you got to think about that before you buy a business. There's lots of reasons why businesses fail, guys. 50%. By the way, who here among you can tell me the number one reason that businesses go out of business? What does businesses end? Any guesses? What do you think, guys? Demand, for sure. That's a big reason businesses go under. That's not the number one reason. What's the number one reason? Yes. Oh, good one too. You guys are near the top of the list. There's one on top of the list. It has to do with the exam that some of you are taking today. Accounting, more specifically, what do people sometimes not do? It gets them in trouble. They don't pay their taxes. Not having a good tax accountant. By the way, how many of you are accounting majors? You guys are going into a discipline that will never go away. We'll always need accountants. People sometimes don't file their taxes right. That's the number one reason businesses go under. Guys, about half of all businesses fail within 5 years. You may say, wow, that's a 1 in 2 chance. Or you could say it like that. Holy shit, it's a 1 in 2 chance. We might actually make it. 50-50 is pretty good odds. So some of the economic factors play in. For example, you have business downturns right now. If you're in the hospitality business, the travel business, the restaurant business, what's killed you this year? COVID-19 has killed it this year. It's been terrible for those folks. We could have financial causes too. For example, you're spending too much money on supply. Guys, people who work in the restaurant business have a challenge that other industries do not, and that is that the raw materials are perishable. If you want to know how many of you, by show of hands, this is one of my favorite things. You're not going to see it, but my mouth's going to be watering behind this mask thinking about this. How many of you guys like barbecue? Oh, dude. What's your favorite kind of barbecue? Oh, are we talking beef or pork? Man after my own heart. What kind of barbecue do you like? Pulled pork. Awesome. Guys, why is barbecue such a tough business to be in? Any guesses? Yeah, because you gotta sell what you can make it, and you can't reheat it. So let's say one day, for example, I anticipate I'm going to have 200 customers, and I get 40. That's a bunch of inventory I just wasted. If you want to know what barbecue joints don't make it, number one, the inventory is expensive. Number two, does it take a long time to make it slow and low? Oh, hell yeah, man. If you're making good barbecue, if these ribs haven't been cooking for 8 hours, they're not cooked. You got to cook it low and slow. That's a tough business to be in. So if you're sitting on inventory you can't get rid of, you got a problem. So that could turn into a financial cause if you've got too much expense and not enough sales. You just might not know what the heck you're doing. If you don't have the right experience, you got to learn on the job, and you got a ticking time clock how much you can actually learn while you're still paying your bills. Or it could be personal reasons. I've decided I'm done. I'm moving on. I'm getting on out of this business. We can do that for personal reasons as well. But guys, before we continue, I need a sip of my coffee. Does anybody have a question or a comment on this fine day? Actually, I have a question. For those of you who are taking the accounting exam today, what is the material you're going to be quizzed on today? What is your exam today? Yes? Bank statements. How do you feel about it? Just sort of, okay? You'll get through it. And Dr. Seidel, she gives lots of opportunities for making up points, does she not? No? Okay. Okay, well, good luck, guys. Good luck. Anybody else have something on their mind? Who else has any kind of test today? What do you have a test in? And is that Dr. Timmons or Ms. Dunlop? How do you feel prepared? Excellent. What's the test on today? So, some of the stuff we've been talking about in this class too. Excellent. All right. Anybody else got a test today? Or who has a test on Friday? Anybody? Okay. Well, then today we're going to get through. All right, guys. Let's continue. Actually, no, we're going to stop for 1 second. I feel like I need to get you guys moving. So I'm going to show you a technique here. This is something I usually reserve for upperclassmen, but I'm showing it to you guys because you need something in your body here moving you today. How many of you guys feel like you could successfully defend yourself in a fight? Awesome. We got some folks. I believe it. Well, I'm going to show you how all of you can defend yourself in a fight. I would like you to stand up. I'm going to teach you in 2 minutes how you can break 2 boards. You can punch straight through 2 boards. Every one of you in this room can do it. If you can penetrate 2 boards, that's enough to break a man's skull. Not that I want you to break a man's skull. But what I'm asking you to do is stand up, and I'm going to ask you to put your feet about shoulder width apart. And we're going to show you how to throw a punch. You guys out in Zoom land can join us too. Stand up, and we're going to show you how to throw a punch. What I would like you to do, stand with your feet, your knees just slightly bent, not straight up, a little bit slightly bent. You're going to put your fist out in front of you. Now you notice, how many of my knuckles are penetrating right now? How many can you see? These 2, that's the important part. The strength in a punch does not come from the forearm so much as the shoulders. Your shoulders and your hips are the source of torque. You're going to chamber your other fist back like this. And what you're going to do, don't do this with me yet. I'm going to show you the motion. You're going to actually move your shoulders and your hips and twist at the same time. The twisting of your forearm and your shoulders adds torque. So if you do that and penetrate with these 2 knuckles, you can break 2 boards. Every one of you can do it. And if you had to in a fist fight, you could break a man's skull. So I want you to do it with me. And actually, what I want you to do when you do this, after you come back in the chamber, I want you to make a karate noise. All right? I'm going to demonstrate. Ha! I want you to do that with me. Okay? We're going to do this on 3. 1, 2, 3. Ha! One more time, guys. I didn't hear you guys. 1, 2, 3. Ha! 1, 2, 3. Come on, I want to hear it. Ha! See, that's the spirit. 1, 2, 3. Ha! Oh, man, I'm trying so hard. They're going to think I'm in here beating you guys up. You'd be beating me up. Have a seat. If you need to defend yourself for the rest of the week, you know what you need to do. How many of you have ever taken karate, by the way? I figured we had a couple martial artists in here. Did I do okay? Is that how you guys would have thrown a punch? So that's why you were making some noise. I get it. All right. Guys, you can always, see what I just did there? I pivoted from a traditional business class to a martial arts class. This is what you do sometimes. So what you can do, guys, pardon me, if you are not working with your business, you can change the model. Think about ghost restaurants, guys. People who would normally have people coming to their restaurants now are saying, we're going to do all the carry out from one place. We're going to pivot our business model. You can hire consultants to come in and tell you what you're doing wrong. This is a tough situation because consultants can be good or bad. What's good about bringing in a consultant? Well, those folks are bringing in expertise you don't have. The bad thing is you got to pay them. You can also hire staff. You got to hire people to come in and help you if the work is getting too much. If you want to get some consultation, go to your small business administration. Go to your SBDC. Talk to people who used to work in the business. There's this whole core of retired executives who are bored sitting at home, and they'll come and give you free consulting. Where you can get into emerging markets. What I am going to convince you guys, I hope, I shouldn't say I am going to convince you guys, I hope to convince you guys to get into some of the clubs we have on campus while you're here. How many of you guys are playing the markets right now? Awesome. Join the investment club. Guys, we have over $50,000 to play with. You guys can literally play with $50,000 in the stock market for St. Francis. You know how we funded that, by the way? Back in the early 90s, somebody bought stock in Apple. So that worked out pretty well. You can join an Actis. We do all kinds of stuff with business models. You can get involved in other clubs, get experience, get scholarships, and learn how to run a business. So that being said, guys, I think that is it for today. We finished Chapter 5, and I'm giving those of you who have a test an extra, 22 minutes to study. Have a wonderful day, my friends. And just remember, if you're going to punch somebody, if you don't feel like you can punch, the noise might startle them too. So remember that. Have a great day, guys.